Alright, so this weekend was, of course, a big event, right? Big event here in the city, where we have, of course, the annual C100 Jingle Ball concert. Okay? Now, look at this lineup right here. Okay, Cardi B, Shawn Mendes, Camila Cabello, Calvin Harris, G-Eazy, Dua Lipa, Khalid, and who was this girl? Normani, Alicia Cara, Megan Trainor, BB Rex, Bazzi, and Sabrina Carpenter, right? Hundreds of thousands of people were expected to attend this event this past Friday, December 7, 2018. But the nerve of the Long Island Railroad, the nerve of them, to even not add extra trains on the Ronkonkoma branch this holiday season. And I quickly want to mention, in the card right now, please check out Pine Power LI's rant about the Long Beach branch, because even though I'm a Long Beach branch user, guess what? We shouldn't be getting the extra trains if normally on weekends we do get direct service from Penn to Jamaica. But that's not the point. The point I want to show you all today is pretty much another hidden example from the local media here in New York that they don't even talk about how bad the crowding got on Friday. No one has mentioned this other than our fellow viewer Andy Quinto, who is better known here as Random 10. So, without further ado, we are now going to watch a couple videos from my Twitter feed, and I'm going to show you how bad it got after a huge event like C100 Jingle Ball. So, that was an M7, of course. Not in service, right? That's one of the first big problems. And then, on the Port Washington branch, as you can clearly see here, more overcrowding. How did they get away with this? You may be asking. It's because, again, of the corruption that is going on at the MTA right now. You may not realize it if you're one of those nice little preppy people on the South Shore, but I am in reality, and of course my fellow colleagues are in reality about this. So now we're going to watch some videos that Andy sent to me back yesterday, believe it or not. So here goes nothing when we watch these videos.
Some things that happened on the MTA, especially on the Long Island Railroad this past weekend. So as you know, that this past week there have been major events going on in the New York City area, which includes the Jingle Ball concert that I went. Which, by the way, it was like one of the best shows that I've ever been. I went there last year. They were good, but I spent like from 2010 to 2017 trying to find tickets until 2017 when everything changed. But this taking my third time going to this show. It's always pleasant to go. It's one of the good ways to celebrate Christmas too, and a birthday present. You know, my birthday's on December 12th. But anyway, let's end the happy part, and we're gonna go to a small rant on the Long Island Railroad. What happened on Friday night, early Saturday morning, basically. You know, because it was after midnight, so technically Saturday, the next day, it ended. To hear what happened, Penn Station. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I just finished eating a snack or something.
Happens to
I
the
do
best
apologize,
of us.
guys. So when I got to Penn Station, downstairs to the Long Island Railroad concourse, it was packed as hell. And when I checked the departure boards, no extra service. The hell, man? Major event at MSG. No extra service, especially for those people on the main line. Actually, everybody were affected. All the trains that were leaving Penn after the midnight hour were all jammed up. I'm dead serious. The Long Island Railroad failed to control the crowd and provide extra service to stations like Ronkonkoma, Huntington, Port Jefferson, Babylon especially. I'm sorry to say this, but even Babylon was affected. I took that 1242 train from Pandu to Babylon, and it was packed as shit. Nobody couldn't fit. And also you got all these drunk idiots.
Well, again, I couldn't understand how annoyed he was. Here's the second part. I'll try to play it here.
Kind of blind, which is all limiting, to the passengers on the M3. And the crew yelled at them, which I'm saying I'm going to give them credit, because you can't have these drunk idiots trying to delay the train just because they act stupid. That's what I'm talking about. The NTAPD needs to be at the platform during major events such as this, the Jingle Ball, and SantaCon. Which, I mean, SantaCon, I think.
And I'm quickly going to pause this for a sec. And Andy, I know you're watching this too. And I know Matt Camper, you're watching this too. And I brought this up to you the other day. That I'm trying to go to the matinee for the Big East tournament on Thursday, March 14th. I'm trying to go to that 12 noon game. And the issue that I have with the MTA is that what's going to happen if they can't provide extra service on March 14th to the Big East tournament? Because you have 4 big games on that day. Exactly. And I agree with Andy. The MTA should learn from their mistakes. They should. And I'm telling you this right now. I'm going to be at Penn Station hopefully on March 14th. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If I see something, you're going to see it on Andy's Randomness. Because the MTA's petty excuses of not having crowd control on the Long Island Railroad is going to be pathetic for a big excuse like the Big East tournament coming to New York in March. And, not to mention, sorry for screaming there, everyone. Don't forget, we have the Atlantic 10 tournament in March 2 at Barclays. So there needs to be extra service going to the Barclays Center. So let's continue watching Andy's video.
I think it should be done away because it causes too much problem in this metro area into the city. But this is Bill de Blasio. He is to blame for this shit right here. I'm sorry to say this, but SantaCon needs to be done away. And the MTAPD during concerts, especially, they should be controlling the platforms. And what I'm gonna say, it should be at the door whenever the train leaves. Tell people to go back upstairs and wait for the train outside, and then close the door. But we won't have any drunk persons doing stupid shit on the tracks, like just what happened with that guy in April in Limbo.
And again, another thing, they should be banning alcohol during the Big East tournament. That's another thing. I don't want to see people drunk on my regular 256 train. Which again, I know the Long Island Railroad's not going to cancel that one, because I know I have an expectation that day to be in my one of the 2 trains I normally take. Either 211 to Long Beach or the 256 to Long Beach. That's an express from Penn to Jamaica. I don't want to see any drunk lunatics going to a Big East tournament game being on drunk. Not to mention making a bad impression on the college students. And I agree. There needs to be more MTA police patrols. Especially in March, when we have the Big East tournament.
Brooke, he was drunk. He was standing right in front of the train, and he paid the price. He died. We don't want no huge service suspension because of a stupid person doing something on the tracks. Probably getting electrocuted by the third rail or some shit. Like what happened. What happened yesterday at Penn Station with that idiot just jumped across track 18. If he want to jump program, he will probably just hit the third rail and just get electrocuted. It won't cause a huge mess on the Long Island Railroad. That's what I'm saying. The LIRR and MTAPD should be ashamed of themselves.
And again, I completely agree. You know, it's unacceptable. And as I mentioned before, I'm just annoyed. I'm really angered about this. And as I mentioned before, and I'll say it again, you know, it's disgraceful how the MTA gets away with this nonsense. Hang on. Yeah, here we go. This is an old picture I tweeted. Andy was at the Roosevelt Field Mall this weekend, and quickly want to mention, why aren't I following Greg Mocker on Twitter? That's very odd, but let's go to our next story. That is, of course, this. That's right, folks. Crazy lunatic Chuck Schumer criticizes the MTA for the PTC. Senator Schumer wants the MTA to get moving when it comes to safety measures. The New York, and I'm sorry for saying this, Democrat said that the agency is expected to announce as soon as today that they will need an additional 2 years to finish installing federally mandated life-saving safety technology on the Long Island Railroad and Metro North, which was confirmed today by the MTA board, which I will not show you that video because you can see it for yourself. This is, again, another excuse for Chuck Schumer to get some FaceTime. And he always does this on a Sunday. It's just ridiculous. And they claim that it's going to be ready by July of next year. I want to continue about this. What we do have to talk about was this. Now let's read this. Drunk SantaCon reveler was sudden death by jumping across 750-volt New York City train tracks in his shades and Santa hat. The unidentified reveler was taking part in SantaCon, and of course was filmed, and shows the man taking a run and jumping it, making to the other side of the platform and blazingly grinning at the camera. If he had fallen, the reveler would have not come off as lucky, as the third track is electrified, and he would have sent 750 volts through him, meaning sudden death. Of course, the video was posted on social media. And once again, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. So as you can see here are some pictures of this stupid idiot. And again, that's what Chris Jericho would call him. Here he is. If he had fallen down, boom, would have been dead. Would have been dead. And that's the idiot. That is the idiot that pretty much, they are investigating this incident. And of course, the MTA police is investigating. And there was a mass transit alcohol ban during SantaCon, which again, I'm going to say this, where's the MTA police? If MTA police was on the platform, this person would have been sent to the booking at Penn Station, because there is an office in Penn Station where they bring you in for booking. Now, I know this for a fact. And I quickly want to mention before I go to the monthly reaction of public speakers, which again, I will have to talk about a certain Mr. Murray Bowden in just a second. I have some decent news. Trains passing through the 36th Street and 59th Street stations were allowed to go at speeds up to 30 miles an hour on the N and the R line in Brooklyn. So that's excellent news that hopefully maybe the trains will be faster, but we'll have to see about that. But that's good news. And now we go to my favorite part of the month, which is of course reacting to crazy Murray Bowden. I know it sounds hurtful and mean, but I'm telling you right now, I've never seen something crazier. So first up, let's go to Mr. Jason Pinero's comments.
Next speaker is Jason Pinheiro, followed by Murray Bowden.
Now this will be good, folks. Trust me.
Good morning, Joint Metro North and Long Island Railroad Committee. I hope that you guys are aware about yesterday's report of Chuck Schumer regarding positive train control. It is very alarming report, and we should look at it very carefully. And Mitch and Veronica, I passed you guys over the weekend a video featuring let's say a commuter jumping from one platform to the other at Penn Station over the weekend doing.
And look at this. I quickly want to mention that, take a look at this. Veronica's like, She's like dumbfounded. She didn't even know what took place this weekend on her own railroad. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. You can't.
SantaCon. This is a disgrace. MTA police should have been present to avoid a potential tragedy during this annually event. And I hope that Philip Antics know about this. And regarding the service changes, we hope that the main line gets the service that deserves. And let's say
And look how pathetic this is. Guess who this is on the left, folks? Catherine Rinaldi, the president of the Metro-North Railroad. And you know, every time when I hear her speak, because again, I literally think of all the adults talking to Charlie Brown, and especially Susan Metzner. No! Don't want to hear from you people in your stupid joint committee meetings. Nobody wants joint committee meetings anymore. It's stupid. Why would you want a joint committee meeting? And unfortunately, folks, as I end this video, I got bad news. I'll show you later on. There's another one coming in February. I know. What a shock.
put to aside those who lives along the Babylon branch, because the main line needs the most of their attentions. And let's see if both agencies could review its winter service changes, because thank God that we are
I'd pretty much try to fast forward to
winter
Murray's
storm
comments.
The walking stick in this one is a folding one because I don't want to trip people as much.
So here we go with Murray's.
My presentations today will all
Craziness
be
today.
about the budget and the changes necessary to keep this place going. One of the things that you need to do is start talking to each other by first name. You all know each other. Change the culture.
By the way, later on he does the same thing at New York City Transit.
This formality, not appropriate today anymore. Next, and in your book, I took all of the papers off the internet the other night and printed out the parts I needed. You all should have read the reports as well, and none of you should read verbatim.
This is so stupid. He keeps showing Veronica Vanderpool and Ira Greenberg. Just because Ira's gonna be the next Queens County judge. And by the way, he was mentioned later on. I'll show you Omar's comments as we go along here.
Verbatim, the words that are in the book that you could have, damn it, you should have read the night before. Reading statistics is out. You have to stop that. Read a quick summary and ask for questions. Chuck at the last time said that we were going to do things a little faster, and so he cut the time down. These are 36 pages I took out of the reports today of people signing off and going around and wasting time. Could you please pass this up to the chair?
Fast forward.
Thank you. I copied those out last night. You should be using electronic signatures on all of this stuff and saving all kinds of time. Now, how can Metro-North save phenomenal amount of money for the MTA? I'm now moving into Long Island Railroad report. The other reports, I signed in twice. Metro-North is still buying married.
Mr. Bowden, can you conclude your remarks, please?
No, I can't conclude my remarks because I'm now speaking for Long Island Railroad Committee time. You're wrong, I'm right. I signed in twice, you pay attention. I pay attention, I follow the rules, you should follow them too. That's what's going on. He's not listening to what I'm saying. You've got a massive budget deficit, and he's following the same rules he's always followed for the last 50 years. It's time for a change around here, and I'm here to make it happen, because I'm not going to be around here that much longer, and it's going to have to happen right now. Metro-North is still buying married pairs, which they bought 30 years ago because you couldn't fix them. The situation changed. Stop buying married pairs and save a lot of money. Long Island.
Which again, look at him ramble. What is a married pass? Could somebody explain to me in the comments if they know? Because this is why I have to fast forward him. This is exactly why I have to speed it up so that we don't waste vulnerable recording space on this computer.
The railroad still has red lights and flashing and traffic lights at the same crossings. Well, I can't do it. It's somebody else's job to do it.
Yeah, Murray. The only problem is, have you ever been on Nassau Boulevard by the Garden City train station? It's the same traffic light they've had for the same years, for the same couple of years. I've known it. I have friends who go by that crossing, and I'm going to tell you this right now. They don't mind the traffic light over there. They don't mind it on the Hempstead branch. They've been used to it.
You talk about safety? You spend money on signs? Everybody's got their earphones on. They're doing text to the thing. They're not listening to it. And you expect them to read a little sign that says they're paying attention?
Another thing, Murray, if you love the rambles so much, go to Mineola, go to Willis Avenue and Mineola Boulevard, and see there's no traffic lights over there. There's no traffic lights. Traffic light and train crossing. Again, this is the same thing he pulled off in October. Last month, okay, maybe he wasn't as crazy. But again, this is the same thing we heard him say back in October.
The law says you cannot pass a traffic light at a gate. That's the law. You can pass a flashing red light, and they're doing it.
Sir, can you wrap
shut
up,
up,
please?
will you?
Can you
I don't
please
care
wrap up?
anymore. No, I won't shut up because there's money involved. There's my safety involved. You're doing stupid things. You got traffic lights and red lights at the same crossing. The Willis Avenue Bridge, you got traffic lights. No, I'm not through. I got 5 more meetings today. Yeah, I'll go. You want to arrest me again? You did it once.
Our final speaker is Lisa Daglian.
You know what? I'm sorry for teasing Murray. Let's slow down that part. Just to show how a pathetic excuse that this guy is. I'm sorry, but I know this is cruel and mean to say this. This is somebody who... This is who I normally deal with at my nursing home.
Lights at the same
Look at this.
crossing.
This is so stupid.
The Willis Avenue Bridge, you got traffic lights.
And look how dramatic this is. That tall guy back there, look at him. Look at him.
No.
And look at this. Neil Zuckerman. I know who he is. He's been on the board for a long time. He's like, signal, signal, signal. You can't make this stuff up. And look at this. Veronica's not even there. She got up because she was so tortured by Murray's comments.
I'm not.
You can't make this stuff up.
I got 5 more meetings today. Yeah, I'll go. You wanna arrest me again? You did it once. Come on.
This is so stupid. I swear Murray is... I'm telling you right now. One of these days, he's going to get arrested on a stream. I'm telling you this right now. If it's not this time, I'm telling you right now. The next time, he's really going to get arrested or something. Because again, this is not how you condone yourself at a board meeting. All right? And again, I would have addressed the incident. I would have addressed it like Jason did. I would have said that, thanks to Jason for bringing it up. I appreciate him for doing that. But the thing was, Jason didn't mention the PTC today. I would have mentioned to the board that, I'm concerned about the PTC. I would have told them, and thankfully today in the presentation, they did a good job explaining it with the PTC. I would have told them, Mr. and Mrs. President, referring them to both the Long Island Railroad and Metro North, I would have told them, I'm hoping today you guys will have a presentation explaining, what the timeline is for PTC, because the 31st is coming up, and we all want to know, when is the PTC going to fully be available? Because now, try to fast forward. I know I normally don't show highlights. I said I wouldn't do it earlier. But we're in a dire circumstance today. We're in a very dire circumstance of what happened today with the PTC. So, I'm not going to play the audio because, again, I don't want to get claimed for copyright. But I'll show you the highlights in the PowerPoint today. So, pretty much, here's what it says. Long Island Railroad Metro North achieved 4 major... let's put it in full screen. Achieved 4 major FRA PTC milestones to begin in compliance by the end of the year, which is 31st, which is, I would say, if I'm correct, about, how many days is New Year's Eve? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, 20 days. They have to be fully compliant with this in 20 days. Otherwise, they have to get an extension from the FRA. Now, here's the thing. Long Island Railroad, 86%. Metro North, 84%. Which, again, my point to the board would have been about the agenda today. Which, again, I was expecting this to be on the agenda today. Even though, again, you have the committee meetings combined. 86, 84. That's not good. It's supposed to be 100. And keep in mind, the test date on the Port Washington branch was supposed to be a week from today, which is the 17th. Let's continue on. Okay, LIRR have met all federal requirements. MCA completed. My bad, it's just nothing about the Long Island Railroad. Revised schedule for FRA approval. Okay. We're going to fast forward this. So we're not really going to take a look at this that much, but yeah. Hardware installed. And as you can see the blatancy here, folks, take a look at this. Hardware installed. Hairwood interlocking. You cannot make this stuff up. On how... I mean, look at this. There's pretty much favoritism towards the wealthiest branches, which is the Port Washington branch and the Babylon branch. Meanwhile, everybody else gets screwed. Everybody else gets screwed. Yeah, we're not going to take a look at this. That's Metro North. Yeah. So again, pretty much this is a board talking about it. And last but not least, we're going to move on to MTA committee meetings. Got a schedule for 2019 to wrap up this video. So we're going to quickly fast forward to Jason's comments first. Here we go.
Polly. And good morning to the rest of the board and the media, of course, that should be observing my speech. It is totally unacceptable that yesterday a commuter broke the glass on one of the holiday train cars. That person should have been arrested on site because this is public property and this shouldn't have been going on. And Andy, I know that you're aware of this, but we have been seeing a spike recently on trains having their brakes automatically activated. And this is happening more than once per day in every single subway line. And especially, when are the tracks going to be clean without any signals of rats like we are seeing in some station booths? When are we gonna see our subway system clean and being in the 21st century? And one last note, when I was doing the station tour at 145th Street on the 3 line, I saw a handful of people doing fare evasion in front of the station agent's face. When Chief Edward De La Torre is gonna put more police in our subway stations? When we gonna see more enforcement of the law in our subway stations? I hope that this will resolve the crisis that we have and we won't have to face another fare increase, because this is getting ridiculously stupid. So that's all I have to say for this month.
So, thanks to Jason for making those comments. But the point I want to make here is that the reason why Jason brought up the point of fare evasion was because, if you didn't hear last week, Andy Byford was considering getting rid of subway car cleaners so they could save $40 million. Which, again, you shouldn't be doing that. right? You don't want germs and food and other human waste, which literal human waste. We're talking about what basic bodily functions being smelling in the car. We don't want that. No. No. That's why Jason was trying his best to explain it. But as I said, today I would have used my time if Jason didn't clarify it. I would have told Andy Byford, plain simple, that you shouldn't consider doing this because there's going to be consequences. Do you want lawsuits? Do you want people taking you to court and saying, oh, well, Andy Byford misneglected us. He said he was going to be good, and he was going to look out for the customer, and he was going to at least keep us safe in the subways. We're going to have clean conditions. Exactly. That would have been my point today. It does relate to the agenda, because the problem is, once 2019 comes, he might turn our backs against us. And I'm telling you this right now. If he does this, believe me, I'm not going to be too happy about this. I'm not going to be too happy about this. And if he's considering it, I would love to speak to him one-on-one about the consequences of what he's even thinking of doing. Okay, you don't want to put... Okay, it's bad enough you don't want to put AC in the heating, which then again, the AC is more necessary in the summer months, because again, you don't want people fading on the train, and that's another lawsuit. But Andy Byford has to understand that no one's bigger than the MTA, that's for sure. Alright? In this country, you can sue. And sometimes you can win. It's called gambling. Sorry for saying that, but I don't want to see anything bad happen. And Andy Byford shouldn't think about these selfish procedures. And then more people talking about curb. And now we're going to fast forward past you know who, folks. Murray Bowden. Oh, well, you're going to get fast forwarded on.
As well as other people. And unless you turn on your microphone to speak, I can't hear you. In order to change the culture of how the MTA operates, it would be helpful if each of you addressed each other by the first name. It would change the way things flow here. You all need to know each other anyhow, so you might as well use first names. One of the biggest problems in the closure of the tunnel will be traffic. Both New York City and New York State
He is referring to the L train, in case you're wondering.
do not put the correct road lines on the roads. I've spoken about it many, many times. Nobody seems to take responsibility for correcting it. The Port Authority has a new chief traffic engineer who I met with, and is the most knowledgeable, I can't keep my words straight anymore, is the most knowledgeable traffic engineer I have ever met. He knows how to solve all of these problems legally and correctly, as does the law person in the New York City DOT office, Susan. They both know how to do it.
Now, the only problem is Polly's going to make the traffic worse. Which, again, I'm saying this now. One of the goals for Andy's Randomness in 2019, I'm going to say this again, is to cover this whole L train shutdown. In fact, I'm making the announcement now. I'm laying out a timetable of when Andy's Randomness is going to do coverage on the L train shutdown for 2019. I'm going to say it now. We're going to cover touring one of the stations before it closes in 2019. We're also going to ride the ferry. Yes, I mean it. We are going to ride the ferry in Brooklyn. I can use the same MetroCard fee. And also, I'm going to quickly mention this right now, that there is going to be me riding the bus and taking a look to see West 14th Street without any traffic before and after. Because I'm curious. I want to know how this is going to look. I'm sure you're curious and I'm curious. But I want to see it for myself. We're going to do some observations. Believe me, there's going to be some observations. And I do want to ride the tunnel between Brooklyn and Manhattan for once. So I can give you all an idea of what's going to look like. I'm working on that. And I'll have a explanation of it on tentative date New Year's Eve.
All changes will be done legally, and it can be done quickly. And the manual is out of date, and they know it. If you want traffic to move faster when the tunnel's shut down, you need to start now and put lines on the road that the driver understands. The driver is not paying attention anymore. He's looking at his text. You all know when the traffic light turns green, the car in front of you sits there because he's doing his text. And when you honk the horn, he finally moves. There needs
Once
to be
again,
major
nonsense
changes
from
to meet the
Murray.
budget projections. It starts with the very small things that have been ignored for too long.
Nonsense from Murray. Again, no one wants to hear it. And lastly, Omar's comments. The always fun, cheerful, and this is what I always look forward to every month. Watching these meetings is, of course, Mr. Omar Vera, who has collaborated with Matt Camper, who has collaborated with Jason Pinero, and yours truly, I'm going to say this now, will hopefully have Omar Vera. I'm attempting to do it for the new year, to have Omar on this channel. Because, I don't know, I've never met someone so giddier than my other friend, Mike, which I'm not going to say his last name, but they're equally as giddy. And by the way, guess who's wearing the headset again? Patty Trachtenberg, the commissioner of the New York City Department of Transportation. Alright, so let's watch Mr. Omar Vera. Here he comes. Here we go.
Greetings, MTA Board's Transit and Bus Committee. Welcome to the last edition of 2018 of your meeting. And first, let me congratulate soon-to-be Judge Ira Greenberg for his new position. I know you'll do great. I know you'll do great in Queens. We're with you the whole way. Make sure you uphold the law, protect everyone's rights. That's the way to do it.
And again, Andy's Randomness would like to congratulate Ira Greenberg on, of course, his new position as the new judge of Queens County. Of course, very big job. Support Mr. Greenberg throughout the way, and hopefully issues will be discussed in a court of law.
Second, I'd like to also congratulate President Andy Byford on his first year. Almost like next month will be 1 year since he first arrived here. But this is around the time he accepted the position and was basically leaving the TTC in Toronto. I know everybody there is proud of you, of your achievements here since, but...
And I'm quickly going to mention this. This time last year, remember this, folks, I was very skeptical of Andy Byford. I actually gave the news to my coworkers at Long Island Jewish that this is going to be the new president of New York City Transit. And they're like, this guy worked over. I'm like, I don't know. You know, I told everybody that I've had a miserable past 2 years in the subway. How am I supposed to have faith? And thankfully, again, I've been one of the few lucky ones to... I've only had maybe one issue this entire year where the Queens Boulevard IRT wasn't working, and I said to myself, I'll take the 7 line and it paid off, and, you know, other than that, I really haven't had that many problems with the subway this year, other than the rail fail on the G line this year, but other than that, yeah.
Let's move forward with fast forward, top to bottom, modernization of the system. Okay, with that said, we also have to discuss a few more things. For starters, I mentioned this last week at the Finance Committee special meeting, but these annual fare and toll changes it's not sustainable. Like, it has, at some point, there's got to be some stability. I'll mention more over there, and as well as the meeting this afternoon in Brooklyn, Long Island University. I heard the public hearing today. I also like to further see that if there's any more like station enhancements like the ones the governor has proposed, we should consider having elevators in those, because that's the big criticism of the ESIs, that none of them have accessibility elevators. I'm like, wow. But thank you for further moving us forward. And with that said, I'll yield back the balance of my time because I have more to discuss this afternoon. So I'll yield the floor to all of you. Bye.
Alright, so that was it. And I know Omar did discuss it today, which I'm not going to bring it up, but yeah, again, I agree with the board. They're talking about it during the finance committee meeting, and I quickly want to mention two things. One, I know for a fact that Matt Camper was mentioning on Twitter that they should at least make sure that if there is going to be a fare hike, wait until April. That's number one. And number two, let's keep this in mind, that, of course, Polly Trottenberg wants to move the MTA calendar to go between April and May? That's stupid. That's really stupid. I'm not in favor of that. So, last but not least, guess what, folks? Nothing listed. Nothing listed at all. Nothing about the next committee meeting for January. Not listed yet. And one other thing. I'm getting very antsy to know when the new Long Island Railroad schedule is coming out. I quickly want to show you this too. Let's take a look at this. So as you can see here, we're going to take a look at the current schedule. Nothing listed past January 7th, right? I also want to quickly mention that we're supposed to have a new schedule for the Q46 starting on January 7th as well. Nothing has been mentioned yet. So, hopefully, when I have news, I will pass it along to you all. With that being said, that's going to wrap up this video for today. I've gone on for as long as I can. So thank you all for watching. Until the next one, please take care.